Let's continue here. South Africans aged between 18 and 24, commonly known as Generation Z, are showing newfound enthusiasm for learning to drive and owning cars. In fact, their interest in cars has tripled since the start of the lockdown. The CEO of AutoTrader, Mienie, now joins us to explain this trend. George, a pleasure to have you on the program this afternoon. Just tell us, what activity are you seeing in the youth market pertaining to the automotive sector?
Thank you for having me, Nhlanhla. And as you rightly point out there, a threefold increase in the number of visits to AutoTrader's platform since the beginning of lockdown. And we noticed this in June, where visits to our platform rose by almost 4 times. Generation Z previously made up about 8% of all searches on AutoTrader, and that has grown to 17% as of last month. So quite a big increase in activity for Generation Z up to 24 years old.
So what do you think is the reason for this increase in interest?
Well, potentially it is because a motor vehicle is a safe zone from the coronavirus, and many people don't want to use e-hailing services or ride sharing and try and keep themselves safe. This phenomenon is also taking place in Europe, where Generation Z are also looking at not using public transport and opting for their own vehicles. In fact, in the UK, the interest has also doubled. But in South Africa, we also saw a taxi fare hike in June of up to 172%, which is huge. And we also saw the increase of micro entrepreneurs. That means one-man show businesses, and they would need transport in order to service their customers. And then the third thing that I think is helping Generation Z's afford cars is the low interest rates that the banks are offering, which make this market more attractive.
Now, when you look at this particular market, this is an audience marked by unemployment. I mean, Statistics South Africa tells us that the youth aged between 15 to 24 years are the most vulnerable in the labor market, with a 59% unemployment rate for the first quarter of the year. Arguably, this is not a sector of the South African population that can necessarily afford a car right now.
That's very true, and I think two things there, and that is the low interest rates from the banks and the increase in public transport fares. Those are the two main things that I think are causing the youth to opt for their own cars, because the costs might be almost equal if they look at the right second-hand car. And the boom in the second-hand car market also means you can get a good deal for a nearly new car rather than a brand new car. And we're seeing new car under pressure anyway. So this is a market that the automotive sector can capitalize on.
Now, have you noticed a difference in the kinds of cars that the audience is looking for?
Yes, we have, as a matter of fact. Overall search shows that the Toyota Hilux and Ford Ranger are in the top 5. And in this particular generation, or up to 24-year-old people, the Hilux Bakkie and the Ranger Bakkie fall further down the list, down past 5th and 7th. And the top 5 models searched for by Gen Zs are VW Golf, Mercedes-Benz C-Class, and VW Polo, and BMW 3 Series. So they're searching for different cars compared to everybody else in South Africa.
But what does this mean for the sector itself?
I think it's a good thing for the sector. The car industry, it opens up a new pool of buyers that would traditionally, pre-COVID-19, use public transport more, or even ride sharing or ride hailing. And we anticipate body types and other makes and models to the prices to start hardening, and demand to increase to support those prices. So I think it's an encouraging thing for the automotive industry, because it opens up this pool of buyers.
So as we wrap up, I just want you to give us a few tips, especially when considering buying your first car. I mean, what should first-time buyers look out for?
First-time buyers should really do their homework around who is selling the car to them. Don't just go into a car deal blind. Do your homework. Most reputable car dealers will give you whatever information you want, and being transparent is an important and I think a key factor in looking for your next car. If anything feels untoward or there's any questions that remain unanswered, that should be a red flag.
George Mienie there, the CEO of AutoTrader, giving us tips as well as telling us about this Generation Z market, which is taking a keen interest in buying cars or rather owning their new vehicles.